to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item on today's agenda is a citizens forum. Time set aside for any citizens who would like to bring a matter to the Commission's attention that is not on the day's official agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to come forward? Seeing none, we will continue on. There are no awards and proclamations or public hearings today, so we will continue on with the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of October 15, 2007. Item 6.2, resolution number 076442, amending and correcting fees for water service. Item 6.3, resolution number 076443, authorizing the city manager to execute a farm lease agreement with East Ridge Development Incorporated in the amount of $2,580.
Any questions on the consent agenda?
There is a slight error in the minutes in that Kenneth Bernard is from rural Hope, Kansas, not from Holcomb. It's in the first paragraph of the citizen forum.
Okay.
With that, I'd move that the consent agenda be approved.
Second.
Motion is to approve the consent agenda with the one amendment on the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That passes 4-0. We will continue on with development business. There's none today, so the next item will be items of administration.
Item 8.1, second reading ordinance number 07-10418, providing for the vacation of the north 15 feet of an existing 35-foot utility easement along the south line of Lot 11 and the east 5 feet of Lot 12, Block 1 in the Cedar Ridge Addition.
This passed on first reading on October 15th. Is there any additional comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd move for adoption of ordinance 07-10418 on second reading.
Second. Motion is to approve ordinance number 07-10418, providing for the vacation of the north 15 feet of an existing 35-foot utility easement along the south line of Lot 11 and the east 5 feet of Lot 12, Block 1 in the Cedar Ridge Addition. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Peck,
Aye.
Commissioner Perney,
Aye.
Commissioner Vanier,
Aye.
Mayor Joka.
Aye.
Item 8.2, discussion and consideration of accepting expression of interest forms for the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee.
Mr. Gregg?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As you may recall, at the time that we approved the scope of services for the comp plan update, there was some discussion about the manner in which citizen participation would be included in the process, as well as the manner in which the advisory committee would be appointed. We're back to you today to ask for your input on requesting and accepting expression of interest forms for the formation of the advisory committee. In the background section of the blue sheet that you've been provided is a direct quote from the scope of services provided by the comp plan consultants that provides an overview of the intention of the advisory committee, which is to be a cross-section of Salina citizens, business owners, property owners, institutional representatives, city leaders, activists, and stakeholders, and that the advisory committee will act as a sounding board for ideas, concepts, and recommendations throughout the Salina Comprehensive Plan project, and that each member of the advisory committee, while representing a specific interest, should come to the table with a broader view of the vision, issues, and goals for the city and the plan. And so with that in mind, it's the issue before you today is whether we wish to proceed with accepting expression of interest forms. With respect to conformance with the strategic plan, you'll probably note that the vast majority of the vision statement items, as well as the goals included in our current strategic plan, are included as conforming with this particular request. While the comp plan itself may not solve all those issues, it certainly will generate community discussion about the vast majority of those, as well as other items that we may not have considered or included in the strategic vision for the city. There's no fiscal cost associated with this recommendation, and staff has identified a couple of alternatives. One is to authorize staff to solicit and accept expression of interest forms with the intention of going through the normal appointment process. The second alternative is to provide some alternate method that you would prefer with respect to creating the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee.
Okay, I'll just throw out an idea to get the discussion started. I was thinking it might be a good idea to start accepting expression of interest forms, at least get the ball rolling, and at a certain point down the road, we'll have to decide on the breakdown of that committee, obviously, or how many people are going to be on it, et cetera.
That was going to be my question. How many people and what's the timeline? We need to get this thing moving pretty fast.
The comp plan consultants have indicated they can work with a group up to as many as 25, but they prefer something in the 18 to 20 range. But it really depends on the community's interest and representation that they're trying to take into account. They're ready to proceed just as quickly as we're able to get through the process. They're already working on gathering background information and getting things ready in terms of information we have in the way of reports, as well as some initial community assessment, but this is crucial to getting them going on the next step.
So could we do it with a 1 month limit and try to have these, get people sign up and express their interest within 3 weeks or so and get a decision, get a committee together by November 22nd or so?
Well, we certainly could. The next City Commission meeting is November 5th, which would be 2 weeks, and then the 12th would be approximately 3 weeks. So we anticipate that they probably won't want to do a lot of committee meetings during the holidays between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but they did indicate that they could if we had an advisory committee identified, they could have an initial startup meeting with that committee.
Would we be better waiting till like December 1st or first meeting in December?
Maybe.
Just a little extra time.
I keep forgetting about holidays and
It is a necessary evil.
is that what we call it? Okay.
It really depends on your sense of how likely we'll get a response and whether we can identify and drum up some interest as well.
So basically, if we put a December 1st deadline, the ball's really going to start rolling in January.
Yes, there'll be some behind-the-scenes work in the meantime. But
Yeah, I think you might want to actually close off the timeline before December 1st with the thought that you wouldn't utilize the committee until early December, possibly some. But, I mean, I think 3 or 4 weeks would give you more than enough time for those who are really interested. Also gives you time for those on that you believe, that folks that you know as a commission or individual commissioners that you think might be good for something like this, to see if they are and tell them where they need to fill out the form.
What are the Mondays again in November? 5th?
and the
6th is the
5th
last
is our
one.
first meeting, so it'd be the 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th.
Just a suggestion, maybe at November 15th.
Even then, if we went all the way through November then to the 26th, we could still make, when's the first meeting in December? Then's about the,
Oh, now you're making me roll over the end of the month.
that's, yeah. Okay, go for the
19th.
12th or 19th. The 15th. Give them a few days. We can mention it one more time at the other business we call last call.
I assume you want to leave the mayor a little bit of lead time to process them in anticipation of the 19th meeting,
We
so the
want-
15th.
Might want to leave time for a little discussion on input from all the commissioners. If we had a 15th deadline or and then appointed him the 26th, would that?
If the meeting dates fall on the 5th, 12th, 19th, so the 15th deadline would leave you open to the 19th as well as the 26th, depending on what we had in the way of response.
Mm-hmm. How about if we left him open till the Friday the 16th, with the idea of appointing him the 26th, and that give all the commissioners time for their input.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
that into a motion, Commissioner Pernin?
Oh, that wasn't a motion? Okay, I'd move that we go ahead and proceed with acceptance of expression of interest forms for the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee with a closing date of November 16th.
Second. Okay, the motion is to proceed to take expression of interest forms for the Citizen Advisory Group for the Comprehensive Plan, and to take those through November 16th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That will be put on the city's website this week, I take it too. Good. Okay. And it'll be
Item 8.3, Resolution Number 076441, the opposition of air emission source construction permit for Sunflower Electric Corporation.
Should we just withdraw this matter?
Well, actually, after discussion with several people in the community, we'd like to go ahead and have it considered and adopted, hopefully just so it would be in the file of the KDHE and the governor when the Supreme Court reviews all the input on this matter.
And it'll actually be put into that file?
It would be if we submit it to KDHE and the governor.
Okay.
So in that case, I guess I'd make a motion that we adopt Resolution 076441. Are you going to then call for discussion? Okay.
If there's a second. I'll second the motion so we can discuss, get some public input. The motion is to approve Resolution 07-6441 in opposition to the air emission source construction permit by Sunflower Electric Corporation. Public comment?
My name's Patrick Billmeyer, and
Name and address.
Patrick Billmeyer, 1018 Gypsum Avenue, and I'm here in support of passing the resolution so that we make a statement about it.
Gary Schwarzenegger, 528 South College. I would assume that the three of you who were ready to vote in the affirmative last time would do that again, and maybe now four. It's not really a moot point. However, I think it would be smart for Salina to join other communities to actually be on record indicating we are progressive, forward-thinking enough to think beyond the end of our noses or beyond the parameters of our own special interests to consider the interests of what's good for the state of Kansas. So I encourage a 4-0 affirmative vote approving the resolution.
Additional public comment? I have a question of staff. Will this, since this decision was made last Thursday, will this go into some kind of record, or is this a moot point on our part?
Good question, Mayor. I don't know. We would find out for you, but as of today, we really don't know if it becomes part of any official record or not.
Just a comment, I am not in favor of just having resolutions on the books for the sake of having resolutions. I also don't believe that we do speak for the city of Salina, and that's what our job is to do as city commissioners. So I am not in support of this motion at all.
I might further comment that we have discussed wanting to, or at least considering a modified resolution that would more incorporate an outline that expanded upon the last paragraph, the section 2 of the resolution, expanding upon emphasizing renewable and cleaner power generation operations for Kansas. But again, it would have to be so generic. What I'm personally, I guess, struggling with, the whole concept of that apparently there are investors and companies obviously ready to put approximately $4 billion into energy production in western Kansas. And somehow the goal, at least in my mind, needs to be changed to renewable energy and the necessary storage systems to work with solar and wind and the necessary transmission lines. And $4 to $5 billion would go a long way toward accomplishing much of that, and much the same thing that an additional old technology coal-fired plant would do. But how we can do that as City Commission, you know, and whether we have a real role in that, I guess, remains to be seen. So I would, again, like to see this resolution pass.
I guess a week ago I really struggled with this because the argument of whether or not we're setting a precedent was a valid point. Because the winds happened to sail the way I thought they wanted to this time doesn't mean that a next city commission might not adopt a resolution in support of a coal plant because of the economic benefit to western Kansas. And I certainly wouldn't want another commission to do that. At the same time, I decided I was going to err on the side of taking action, and so I voted in favor of the resolution. I didn't expect necessarily this to be something I needed to give a whole lot more thought to. I did call the KDHE Brimby's office, and I thanked his secretary for his decision for the state of Kansas. I guess I have a little bit of a problem voting for this resolution at this point. I don't necessarily see the point in doing it now. If anything else, I'd rather a resolution say thank you for your decision, and on behalf of Salina, this is a direction we support going forward. I'm not sure in its current form that I necessarily would vote at this point for it, but would welcome any thoughts on that, I guess.
Well, it's, as near as I can tell, it's kind of a toss-up as to whether it still is of any effect at this point. Since I have a second motion on the floor to consider this specific one, I don't know, want to go ahead and vote, or?
Well, if you have, we have two and seems to
If
be
we have a
two people
2-2,
in
then
favor.
that fails.
Yeah. Commissioners, real quick, could I need to check with Martha Tasker. I'll try not to surprise her too much, just on a technical clarification on one quick item. Come on up, Martha. I don't think this will be too difficult for you, but I'm trying to see if my memory serves me right. The fifth whereas talks about the water consumption.
Right.
And it makes reference to the water coming from the Ogallala High Plains Aquifer, and we state that it's a recharge source for the Smoky Hill River channel. And then the next sentence says, continued overuse of this aquifer will have a direct negative impact on several communities which rely on the Smoky Hill River for their water supply. I do recall that when we discussed this a few months ago, that there were folks up there that showed the maps and so forth, and my recollection is this was not a recharge, but the particular location in the aquifer in which this takes place would not affect the recharge of the Smoky Hill River specifically. Is that your recollection?
Yes, it is. That's correct. And as far as the actual recharge, I think it would be very minimal that we'd see much effect for our community.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. Given that, Commissioners, if you decided to go ahead and approve this resolution, you may want to amend that last whereas and eliminate probably everything after, put a period after High Plains Aquifer and eliminate the rest of that, because now there's no question that whatever that area would recharge possibly would see some impact. But before we send out a resolution, if you go that way, you don't want one that may be factually incorrect. And I just wanted to clarify that for you.
Well, it was
I can't address the other whereases. This is the one I know a little something more about.
I was thinking that was the one that we pulled from the previous November resolution that had been edited and prepared by staff, but okay.
Okay, so questions how to proceed from here.
Yeah. Of course, another alternative is to say it's done as much as it's going to do. If I were convinced of that, then I could withdraw this motion and would make a motion to withdraw the entire resolution from the agenda, right? And anyone that voted for it could make that kind of a motion to withdraw it from the agenda at this point.
Well, okay. So we have to withdraw the motion at hand first, correct?
Because it has a second.
A second.
Yes, that would be correct.
Well, wish I knew how the vote was going. Another outbreak of honesty here on in front of everyone. It's all on Mr. Peck.
I think the people that support the resolution are already on record as doing so, and maybe it'd be appropriate just to withdraw it at this point in time.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, not to make this more dramatic than it ought to be, but I was inclined to vote for it last week, and if we were still ahead of the game on this, I'd vote for it likely again today. Kind of this retroactive resolution to me doesn't make a lot of sense, and so I'm not really inclined to vote for this.
Okay, I will withdraw my motion.
Do we need another motion to withdraw the thing from the agenda entirely? Or are we good?
You have to withdraw your second.
I withdraw my second.
Yeah, that is one technicality on the motion that was before you. With that, I would think that the placement of this item on your agenda, if rather than considering it formally, you would rather, this is I think, an appropriate application of that rule that you have regarding reconsideration, and it would be appropriate if one of those who voted in favor of it being placed on the agenda today chose to make a motion that it be simply removed from your agenda. That would be appropriate.
I don't want to make that motion.
No. I would move the resolution number 07-6441 be removed from our agenda today.
I'm sorry. I should have made more clear that actually the first step is the motion simply to reconsider the prior action, so that the vote is simply whether you reconsider the motion to place it on the agenda. So it's actually, we still have a two-step process.
Somebody else do this.
It's simply a matter, the motion would simply be that you would move for reconsideration of the prior action, placing the matter on your agenda today.
You might be able to just say,
So moved.
That would work.
I'll second that. So the motion is to reconsider the action last week whereby we placed this item on the agenda today.
Right, and the result of a favorable, if that passes, that simply takes you back a week, and you'll have before you the motion that you previously had before you of whether to place it on the agenda today or not.
Okay. So I'll call the question on the vote, the motion to reconsider. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed, Abner.
That passes 3-1 with Perney dissenting. So now we reconsider the original motion from a week ago.
Correct.
And that motion was to place it on the agenda. Okay, all in favor of putting the particular motion in question on the agenda signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
So that fails with 4 votes.
I guess so. I should have said aye on the. I meant to vote affirmatively, but I somehow missed
Okay,
it.
so that passes it fails 3-1 with Perney dissenting. Does that come out right?
That's what I tried to say. Huh?
With Perney affirming. That's correct.
Yeah. Can we throw
Okay.
some more negatives in here and some more positives so he'd be completely confused? Okay, let's move to.
Okay, we have a request for executive session.
Mayor, I would move that the City Commission recess into executive session for 10 minutes in order to discuss a personnel matter involving non-elected city personnel for the reason that public discussion of the matter would violate the privacy rights of the non-elected city personnel involved, and reconvene in this room at 4:38.
Second.
Motion is to recess into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss a personnel matter. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That passes 4-0. Is there any action anticipated afterwards?
No, Mayor.
No. Thank you very much.